that belief system back in everybody's heads and playing with a lot of confidence and that same swagger. But at the same time, this is a brand new season and anything can happen in the postseason. So we got to go in with a Zoom focus and a concentration that's, elite, and I think we'll be ready to play.
What's the biggest difference of playing in the NCAA tournament and playing just a, regular weekend series or ACC tournament?
There's definitely a sense of excitement. I think one of the reasons that, draws athletes to the sport is just the amount of failure. And, and when you succeed, it just means that much more. And obviously the stakes are higher. The risk is higher, obviously. I mean, you lose, you go home kind of thing. And I think that almost contributes to almost the amount of emotion shown throughout the playoffs, in the sport of baseball, at every level. And I think that's where the excitement comes, and that's where, the fans really get involved and they really enjoy it because they know what the stakes are. And, as a player, towards the end of the year, and, you're kind of getting to that point where your body's starting to feel it, it's almost like it's a brand new start. You're running on fumes, but yet, there's something driving you. You don't know exactly what it is, but something's there, and something's pushing you hard, every pitch, every at-bat, every time you get on the field, and that's what makes the postseason so special. And I'm sorry about that. And the last thing I was going to say was that, and being able to play at home is just going to be an awesome experience to be able to have that.
Coach, what do you know about this UNC Greensboro team and what they're going to bring to the table tomorrow afternoon?
Well, I know Link Jarrett very well. He's somebody that I've respected for a long time, have a great relationship with him. We talk hitting on the phone from time to time because he's so good at what he does. He played for Mike Martin at Florida State, so that everything that he teaches, came from Coach Martin, and we know how good they've been offensively over the years. So, their offense is kind of driven on being able to use the whole field. They're a very difficult team to pitch to because they're going to sit in certain parts of the plate and sit on pitches. So you got to be really, really smart about your game plan on how you're going to pitch them, and you got to execute pitches. The game plan can be thrown out the window if you don't execute pitches. This is a team that's going to put a lot of balls in play. They're going to hit the ball all over the field. They're very, very difficult to strike out. They're really going to shorten up and put the ball in play with 2 strikes, and they're going to force you to make 27 outs. That's what they do. So, it's going to be a lot of base hits, a lot of ground balls, a lot of quality at bats and tough at bats. They'll bunt when they need to bunt and move runners up. They'll safety squeeze, they'll suicide squeeze. They're gonna do some things. So, big key is you got to pound the strike zone. You got to understand what your game plan is, pitching-wise, and what you're going to throw in certain counts because they will sell out to certain pitches on certain sides of the plate. So you really got to pay attention to their swings so that you can combat that with a game plan. So very, very well coached, very tough to get out. They score runs. So that's going to be the key for us is, Alex has got to be on top of his game. We got to catch the ball behind him, and we got to find a way to hit a left-hander that's got a really good fastball, a good slider, has had success for him. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5", big, tall left-hander with a good arm. We got to figure out a way to score some runs off a left-handed starter, too. So, keys for us, we got to score early, and we got to keep putting together good at-bats, and hopefully we can get a good start out of Alex. And if we got to go to the bullpen, our guys can execute pitches and stick to our game plan.
The moment that this season ended last year, at this time, the wait to get to the now, the immediacy of this moment where the postseason begins tomorrow, what was that range of emotions like in getting this chance again, and what have you thought about and dreamt about during that time, that wait for this moment?
You asking me? Okay, I didn't know who you were asking. Yeah. I don't sleep very good, so I don't dream, but I'll tell you, to be honest with you, as a coach, you kind of feel it every day. You feel it every day. And any coach that is passionate about his team and passionate about his program, if he doesn't think about it every day, he doesn't need to be there. I mean, that's the bottom line. When the season ended, I was in a bad mood for quite a while. And you start that sense of urgency of recruiting of, okay, we're going to recruit in a way that we're not going to put ourselves in this position. We got to bring in the type of players that can keep us in the postseason, can get us to the next step. You start thinking about what your game plan is going into the next fall to try to get the right message to your team for the fall, as far as what did we learn from last year in a positive way and in a negative way that we can grow and develop as a team and as a program. So you think about it every day. As soon as we lost last year, I thought about it every single day. What can I do? What can we do as coaches and players to put ourselves in this position again, to get this chance again? It's been a lot of hard work, but it's on the players. The players have put into work, and they put themselves in a position to play here at home. For me as a coach this time of year, it's on them. It's up to them. There's not a lot that I can do at this point to, for us to win a regional. It's up to the players, the Andrew Coxes, the Charlie Barnes, Seth Beers, the older guys that have been here, that went through that last year, the ups and the downs of this year. They're going to be the driving force between whether we can win this regional or not. So I'm just here to cheer them on and encourage them.
For Coach and then Seth.
Playing in that sterile environment in an NCAA tournament and the pressure that comes from a huge crowd at home especially.
What's the difference? For us, when it comes to playing, you want to try to put yourself in a position to play regardless of the circumstances. Because we're going to play games. Oftentimes we're playing at home, we're playing in front of pretty good crowds. But we're going to play on the road, and we're going to play in different environments where the crowds may not be as big. But I think these guys will tell you, we put so much of an emphasis on every single game mattering, and not one game is bigger than another one. And we preach that and preach that and preach that throughout the course of the season, because we are trying to build a resume to get right here where we are right now. So in the postseason, it's all about celebrating the fact that, man, we are hosting a regional and we are playing in front of our crowd. There's going to be 6,000 plus people here tomorrow night, and they're all going to be pulling for our guys for the most part. There's going to be a bunch of purple and orange in here, and it's going to be an electric environment. And that's what you sign up for. That's why you come to Clemson, and that's what it's all about. And we're in that position. So it's about enjoying it too. And you got to enjoy the fact that, we've worked as hard as we can to put ourselves in this position. Now let's go play, and let's have a lot of fun, and let's compete our rear ends off to win this first game.
For you, Monte, and then Seth, obviously the goal at the beginning of every year is to make it to Omaha. That's what everybody wants to do. Mm-hmm. Now that you're here, can you allow yourself to think we're just 6 wins away from reaching that, or do you still have to say, no, it's all about UNC Greensboro?
Well, I've learned a lot over the years about looking that far ahead. You start looking 6 games away, you start looking 6 outs away, you start looking 9 outs away, and next thing you know, you lose. And so I've learned the hard way many times, man, we're just 6 outs away from this thing. And then next thing you know, something bad happens. So I don't do that anymore. I really don't. I've learned my lesson. I don't count down the outs. I don't count down stuff like that anymore. Hey, we just got, to get to 40, we got to do this. I don't do that anymore because it doesn't work. The bottom line is you got to stay in the moment. You got to maximize every day, and you got to play every pitch. Because as you've seen in baseball and in the postseason, we were down 6-0 against Western Carolina in the first game last year, if you guys remember. I think that's right. And we wound up, blowing it open late. But, imagine what that feels like. You're sitting there in about the 3rd inning of game 1, and you're like, we're down 6-0. But we had a belief system in that club that we're going to find a way to get this thing done. And, that's what we're hoping for, this weekend. If something bad happens, I told our guys, if something bad happens, we give up a few runs, just relax. You got to keep playing. We got to play every pitch. The bottom line is you got to play every pitch, because that one pitch can win you or lose you the ball game. So, 6 games away from Omaha. Here's the thing is our guys have got to understand it goes from 295 to 64. And we're into 64. And we're one of the teams out of the 16 of those 64 hosting a regional, so enjoy it. And let's just do everything we can to play our best baseball. There's no pilots on our team. We're all on the same plane. So we're all trying to go to the same place. Nobody's the pilot. We're all in this thing together. And let's just compete as hard as we can and have a lot of fun, believe in each other, and see what happens.
Williams' injury really hurt you down the stretch. He was hitting as hot as anybody. It was a triple short of the cycle when he got hurt. You know how valuable he is behind the plate as well. How close is he to being 100% and actually being able to catch a game?
He's going to be in a position to where he can pinch hit or DH, probably for the rest of the year. So his arm is not in a position to be able to throw to where he could get back there and compete as a catcher. But he could DH. He can pinch hit some. So that's where he's at. And is it a big loss? Yes, it's a big loss. I mean, anybody will tell you you got a catcher with that kind of power. There's very few catchers across the country that have the kind of power Chris Williams has. He hit in the middle of our order all year. This guy also came off of a hamate injury at the beginning of the season. So, he's dealt with 2 injuries now, in this year, and he's still, he's put up some monster numbers for us. So it obviously hurts. It's a middle-of-the-order threat. It's a guy that can leave the ballpark, at any point in time. But he is such a great kid, too. He's just, everybody loves Chris Williams because of how he plays. He plays the game like a little kid. So we miss his energy. And we miss his bat and his ability in our lineup and on the field for sure. But, we can't use that's not an excuse. We got to move on. Wilkie's got to do a good job behind the plate. He's got to step up, and he's got to serve his role and do his job. And our guys understand that. And offensively, we got to try to pick up the slack. We got to try to put together good at bats because we know Chris isn't in that lineup, and hopefully some guys can step up. The postseason, I told them the other day, it's where big time players step up in big time situations. So hopefully our guys can do that.
Charlie, with that being said, with Kyle behind the plate and sometimes Robert, how does that affect you as a pitcher? Your aggressiveness, if at all, especially when you have base runners, knowing that a